The Senate Parliamentarian, remember her? She just dealt a massive blow to Trump's big, beautiful bill. If Republicans listen to her, it could be a surprising bit of good news for key government agencies. But Cenk, will they?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so curious about this because the Democrats said that the parliamentarian was the most powerful force in the universe. And if she said that they could not do something, well, then they couldn't do it forever and ever and ever. So I'm actually even surprised that the word parliamentarian is even being used during Trump administration here, because usually when Republicans are in charge, we never hear of the parliamentarian again. So no, I don't know what's going to happen, but I would be surprised if the Republicans gave a damn.
Yeah, let's get into the specifics. Senate Parliamentarian Elizabeth Macdonough has ruled that several key pieces of the massive bill to implement President Trump's agenda run afoul of the Byrd rule and must be taken out of the package to allow it to pass with a simple majority vote on a special procedural fast track. These included a provision that would have placed a funding cap on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which would have cut $6.4 billion from the agency by reducing its maximum funding to 0% of the Federal Reserve's operating expenses. She also ruled against language cutting $1.4 billion in costs by reducing the pay of Federal Reserve staff, cutting $293 million by reducing the Office of Financial Research funding, and cutting $771 million by eliminating the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. Republicans are trying to pass the big, beautiful bill through a process called reconciliation, which imposes strict limits on what can be inside the bill, but allows for passage with a simple majority. If Republicans want to keep these cuts, they would need 60 votes in the Senate, which they certainly would not get because they only have 53 seats. From here, it becomes a question of whether or not they will listen to the parliamentarian. There are safeguards in place, like requiring 60 votes to override her, but that is if Republicans listen to her, oblige, follow these rules. And Cenk, there are serious anti-democratic consequences if either party, whether we like it or not, if either party were to simply ignore her. What do you make of this?
Well, okay, so if the Republicans ignore her, then I don't ever want to hear another Democrat tell me about the parliamentarian. Okay, so they've used this parliamentarian as an excuse not to do their agenda the entire time that I've been covering politics. Oh, the Byrd rule, oh, this rule, oh, the filibuster, oh, this, oh, that. So if the Republicans go, yeah, I don't care about the parliamentarian, they just go forward, that's it. I'm done with the parliamentarian forever and ever. And anyone who tells you about the parliamentarian is a giant liar who doesn't actually want to do their agenda. I think that that's probably the case already, but this will certainly determine it. Right? And to be fair, if the Republicans do listen to the parliamentarian and preserve the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, I'll be very surprised and go, okay, well, at least then it's even-handed, and that makes me feel a lot better about it. I still don't believe that the filibuster should exist. I'm principled, and I'm not going to change my views on it depending on who's in charge. I think the majority should get to rule. And that's why you shouldn't vote for Republicans, because they try to do things like destroy the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. In case you don't know, for every dollar we spend in that bureau, we get back $20. So by trying to destroy this bureau, they would cost us a lot of money and we would go further into debt. And by the way, what money does the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau bring us back? Money that bankers stole from American citizens. And they're not going to return that money with their army of lawyers if they weren't caught red-handed and actually did steal it. And so they have gotten a lot of money back for the American people. It's one of the best things in government. So of course the deeply corrupt Republican politicians all want to get rid of it because they work for the rich, they work for corporations, they work for bankers, and that's why they're constantly attacking anything that helps protect the average American. Sharon.
I think they're going to listen only because it serves their own interests. Some of those fiscal hawks who are against still the bill and don't want to fight Trump directly on it, don't want to be calling it out or go to the mat, I guess. And I think that could work. Convenient when she's convenient, and then they'll override her when they feel like it again in the future. But I really think this is an opportunity for some who really still aren't sold on this.
Yeah, I go back and forth on whether or not I guess for me, Democrats should ignore the parliamentarian. And the warning is always, well, you set this up, Republicans are going to exploit it as well. And you look at some of the cuts that are on the table right now that they're trying to put into this bill, this bird bath, so it's called, a process of looking into what the provisions are specifically and making that determination whether they can stay. Thankfully pulled out right now, like you're saying, Jank, efforts to, or an effort to strip the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau of its funding. That said, they're still gonna try to do that another way. They've already gutted it. They're already trying to go after its funding in other avenues. So it feels like some of these other things they've tried to work in don't belong in there. Of course, you have all these other provisions like trying to prevent states from regulating AI for 10 years. None of this has anything to do with the budget or the deficit. All these things that they've tried to, all this pork they've tried to push in. It's moments like this where I kind of go, I flip and I'm like, I am kind of glad that's in there. That said, I don't know if they're going to listen. I don't have a lot of hope. I will be surprised if they listen to her. And they could just simply ignore the process here. It would require 60 votes to override or ignore her warning. That is if they follow the process. So who knows, if they pass it and try to implement it, we could see if that challenge, this bird rule, makes its way to the Supreme Court or something that is law and there's precedent here. It's going to be confusing and messy, and I do think we shouldn't discount the anti-democratic consequences for either party to do that.
Yeah, so the Republican voters often talk about how Democrats are too pro-establishment, and I agree, they are too pro-establishment, and I say that all the time. How about the Republican politicians? Because the Republican politicians love the establishment. They love bankers. They love it when bankers rob you blind, and then they go, oh, we don't want you to give that money back to the American citizens. We want a little piece of the action, baby. Give me a little bit of campaign contribution. So MAGA and all those guys, you calling out your totally, utterly corrupt pig politicians who are feeding at the trough of those bankers who are robbing average Americans in the middle of Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, everywhere else? Or, oh yeah, I bought into propaganda about, all regulations are bad. You know what regulation is? It's another word for law. So you keep saying all laws are bad. We shouldn't have any laws? Oh, well, they're not gonna listen to laws anyway, so we shouldn't have laws against murder, rape, etc. What a weird extreme position. No, we should have laws to protect the average American, and the deeply corrupt Republican politicians are constantly trying to take that out on behalf of their banker donors who own them completely. And this is a perfect example of it. They don't care about the budget. They drive up the deficit. They don't care about anything but serving the donor class. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.